Beyond Dreaming, a guide to awakening consciousness through the path of astral projection and out-of-body experiences by Hart. Part 8, Earth-like Afterlife, July 2nd, 2012. I woke up in the middle of the night into a state of well-being after a relaxing, meditative evening. Out of habit, I focused on falling back to sleep with full waking awareness. In the depths of my heavy slumber, unusual sounds began to present themselves: loud banging, vibrating, and people speaking. My physical eyes opened involuntarily, and the sounds ceased. I relaxed and closed my eyes again, and they returned. If I keenly focused my attention on them, they would disappear, so I let them be. They seemed to develop in intensity until they had consumed my full awareness naturally. In the same way, a convulsion emanating from my stomach started to engulf my body. I began to vibrate intensely while simultaneously having the excruciating sensation of falling or flying. Hypnagogic colors began to swirl into my vision. They seemed to be struggling to form an image. As I focused, I found myself emerging into a scene. I felt groggy, as if I had just woken up. I knew immediately I was somewhere else out of body. I found myself sitting in a meditative lotus position in the middle of a stairway of a large building. My surroundings were gray and dull. Sitting next to me was a man. He felt familiar, and part of me recognized him as a friend, but not someone I knew in waking life. Perhaps he was from a past life or someone which only a multidimensional part of me knew. We spoke for a while, but I only remember the last part of the conversation. "We will go up the stairs together," he said. A woman who I wasn't previously aware was with us stood in front of me and abruptly said, "We would expect you to go higher." Before having any time to analyze her, two small spheres, which were vertically connected by a cord in between, appeared above her head. Each sphere displayed an image inside. I focused on the top one, and I began to zoom into it. The scene of the stairway began to fade. I had a moment of apprehension. I did not want to wake up and ruin what I felt was some transportation to another place. For an instant, I held onto the man's arm in an attempt to stay grounded. I soon found myself back in bed. On reflection, I thought that the experience was a metaphor to tell me to go higher in dimensions or consciousness. I quickly relaxed and fell asleep again. Soon after falling asleep, I found myself in what seemed to be a dream of some sort. I was standing in an outdoor car park, which was about 100 feet from where I was sleeping. I found myself gazing into the sky. I had an immense feeling of awe as I stared at one of the most beautiful, multicolored masses of clouds I have ever seen. I always enjoy the tremendous sense of joy that I get when marveling at something otherworldly that you can never see in waking life. As I was staring at the clouds, I spotted what could have only been described as a UFO. It was black and was shaped like two spheres connected by a cord, just like in the prior experience. The object was still for a moment, then quickly flew to the left of the entire sky, coming in and out of the clouds dramatically. As it soared, the backside of it let out the most breathtaking sight. Floods of enormous multicolored clouds trailed from the UFO, filling most of the sky in seconds, like a supervolcano erupting sidewards. The clouds began to pulsate dramatically, with giant orbs of colors. I heard the cracking of thunder, and there was a sudden shift in the atmosphere. An unnerving feeling from the pit of my stomach made me take a step back, but I hit the brick wall of a building behind me, not realizing it was there. I scurried into a corner out of an insecure impulse. As the UFO descended, it crashed into the distance and exploded. I ran in the opposite direction. I got out my phone to call a relative in fear that I would die, to tell them I love them, but something in me woke up before doing so. I did the hold nose reality check. I could breathe through my nose while holding my nostrils shut, making me conscious that I was in a non-physical dimension. I was thrilled and had to compose myself. I studied my hands in an attempt to attain full waking consciousness. As my mind gained clarity, I witnessed subconscious dream projections dissolve before my eyes. Brick walls, tree and fences all began to disappear. After a few moments, my perception was crisp, awake, and untainted. I felt that energizing non-physical wakefulness that engulfs me every time I have an out-of-body experience like this. I was on the main road around the corner from where my body was sleeping. The location was an almost perfect replica of the physical version. The only two things that were different were the vast number of people out on the street and an unfamiliar, over-friendly community atmosphere I sensed from them.